Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Elivaras, and welcome back to a new episode of How to Use, where today we are highlighting a Sisters of the Thorn build for the Wood Elves. So Sisters of the Thorn is a very interesting unit, one that is definitely not used very often. They have a model count of 30, so not too many. They've got two abilities, one of those being the Shield of Thorns, which, as you can see here, effect range of 40 meters. So you target it on ground and ally, so plus 22% missile resistance and plus 22% weapon damage. An interesting ability. Partly, it's kind of weird because the units that you're going to want missile resistance on are usually not the units you're going to want weapon damage on at the same time. Well, it really depends. Sometimes, if the enemy archers are firing on your archers, you're going to want to pop this ability on your archers, but then they're gaining no use from the weapon damage. So it's a kind of a weird ability. But then the really good one is the Curse of Enraher, or Enraer, however you pronounce that, which gives minus 60% accuracy and minus 24% speed. So if you've got clumps of enemy archers, then this ability is really good. So the main thing about these cavalry is that they're magical missile cavalry. So their spears are tipped with poison, which is the biggest thing about them. So they're able to apply all the nasty effects of poison, which, is basically, it negates, it lowers charge bonus, it lowers speed, it lowers weapon damage, it lowers a whole ton of stuff. And, no, never mind. Okay, I was going to say something else that was completely wrong. But, so they're an interesting unit. This is how I'm using them, essentially. I'm using Sisters of the Thorn along with War Dancers with Azrai Spears and Wild Riders. So they're kind of like a three-way team here currently deployed in the forest so that they're hidden. But they're essentially a three-way team. So, you get the Sisters of the Thorn to slow... Actually, you know what? We'll get into the battle, and I'll show you how you can use them. But now let's hop into the army comps as we get into slow motion here. We can see 3 units of Treekin forming the front line. We've got 3 units of Eternal Guard with shields right behind them. Glady on a dragon. We've got a Spellslinger of Life with only Earthblood. 2 units of Glade Guard with Starfire shafts for some anti-armored cavalry that Bretonnia almost always has. And 2 units of Eternal Guard in the back without shields, just to protect against cavalry and flying units that might swoop in. So now as we go into the Bretonnian comp here, we can see they've got 4 units of Spearmen at Arms, or 5 units of Spearmen at Arms with shields making up their front line. 2 units of Men at Arms with pole arm. They've got the Grail Reliquae. They've got 3 units of Peasant Bowmen. No arrow types, just normal. 2 units of Knights of the Realm on each flank here. And then they've got a unit of Royal Pegasus Knights, a unit of Royal Hippogriff Knights, and Alberic de Bordelot, who does have an anti-large bonus. So it looks like he's going to try and be killing my large units with this, diving into my cavalry, but probably, especially my Glade Lord here. So, especially against Bretonnia, you have to be very careful bringing a Flying Lord. That's usually because they can, charge in, and then if my Lord is, my Lord isn't that fast, especially on a dragon. Dragons aren't super fast. But if my Lord gets isolated, she'll get absolutely destroyed by these units. They're armor-piercing, they're anti-large, ridiculous amounts of damage. They'll shred my Lord in seconds. So essentially what I've got my Lord here for is for the net, for the Arrow of Kurnos, and to kind of distract them. And she's also a little more survivable because she does have a health potion, but I'm going to have to be very careful with my Lord if I want to win. So now let's hop into the overhead view. You can see I've got my lines moving forward. Now, these units, weren't revealed for a little while, but I finally saw their archers. So I said, okay, here's their archers. All right, let's pull the Eternal Guard with shields forward, or let's pull them forward, and let's pull the Treekin back, because I'd rather my shield units who have shields to reflect missiles get hit with the missiles than my Treekin who don't have shields. So they don't have many good units in the front line, or good infantry units, so I start by taking my Glade Guard with Starfire shafts and pouring into the Men at Arms with pole arms, since they are the most expensive unit on the front line currently. What I'm going to be trying to do is using them on their air cavalry, but they are currently not in range, so I say, okay, this is the next best target. Don't want to be targeting the Spearmen with shields. Spearmen at Arms with shields, because, of course, they do have shields, so they're not, my archers aren't going to do super hot against them. And now we can see the Eternal Guard getting ready to storm into the front of these men-at-arms with shields. He does not manage to get a counter charge off, which would have been beneficial, you know, get a little more damage there. But you can see now my Eternal Guard with shields pouring in. I keep saying pouring. I'm sorry about that, but storming in, charging in, whatever. So now, okay, so here comes the Knights of the Realm, right? Knights of the Realm are currently going around. Now, my units are all hidden. These three are hidden, but they won't be hidden for long as this Knights of the Realm unit starts to move. Now, they're hidden too, so I don't know they're there, but you'll see in a second. There, I've spotted them, and then they are going to spot me. So, my Sisters of the Thorn start firing, right? So, Sisters of the Thorn start firing. They see Sisters of the Thorn, and they're like, okay, let's charge. So they charge, but now what I do is, you see, I've got my War Dancers with the Azrai Spears right here. Now, they are very fast Wood Elf. They are the fastest Wood Elf Spear Infantry. So they've got 48 speeds. They're going to do pretty well here. And you see, I pull my Sisters of the Thorn out at the last second as the War Dancers with the Azrai Spears charge in. And you can see he tries to reroute the Knights of the Realm, but they are poisoned from the Sisters of the Thorn, and minus 24% speed, minus 18% vigor. All of this stuff is going to allow now the War Dancers with Azrai Spears to catch them. And at the same time, you can see I'm going to start charging my Wild Riders forward. So that negative in speed is really affecting them. The War Dancers with Azrai Spears hop on, and then my Wild Riders are about to slaughter them here. So we've completely caught their cavalry. That poison slowed them down enough so that my War Dancers with Azrai Spears could get on. So now we can see my Glade Lord did, which we missed. My Glade Lord did get caught by the Royal Pegasus Knights as I was microing over here. I did net them, and now I've got both units of my archers firing. You can see I've got my Eternal Guard just sitting here in the back in case they decide to dive in. Now, Leoncoeur is going to be hopping towards my Sisters of the Thorn. Now, interestingly enough, they actually do quite a bit of damage with their spears against a big target like Alberic on his, on his Griffin. And now we can see here going on in the rest of the battlefield. Because he invested so much into cavalry, he's got 2 units of Empire Knights, he's got all his flying cav that are currently getting torn apart. He doesn't have much of a front line, right? So my front line is going to be doing a lot better, especially with the healing from the Spellslinger. Going to be healing up all his streak, and you can see most of my units are at full health. Like, they are doing jack all. And so I'm definitely going to be winning the infantry fight, and then it's going to come down to, can he do enough damage with all of the money he poured into his cavalry? You can see Sisters of the Thorn starting to run away. Now, because of the poison that hit Alberic, he's actually not doing as much damage as he would. Minus weapon damage, minus armor-piercing damage, minus armor-piercing missile damage. Missile damage doesn't matter, but you can see here my Wild Riders and War Dancers with Azrai Spears are running the Empire Knights away. They've taken a ton of damage from that, and my units have hardly taken anything. Now, Sisters of the Thorn currently pulling away here. I'm going to try and get Alberic off of them. I've still got my archers firing into their flying cavalry, but they start to double target my Glade Guard with Starfire shafts. So as we pop in here, back into play, we can see a nice volleys coming out here, poisoning Alberic. So poison going to keep him slowed down so that he is unable to hop on top of them. Now, he does decide to charge in here. Charges into the flank of my Sisters of the Thorn, but he's still not going to be doing much damage because of that poison. Again, poison turning that engagement a lot better in my favor. Now that we've dealt with these Knights of the Realm, I'm going to start pulling the rest of these troops back. And now Alberic is actually taking a lot of damage. The spears from the Sisters of the Thorn are not something to be laughed at here. They is 30 models, so he actually ends up taking quite a bit of damage. And you can see now the support coming in from Wild Riders. He's going to be trying to pull out here, but it's not going to be fast enough as the Wild Riders hop in and surround him, and his leadership starts taking a huge hit. Now, I did pop the Curse of Enraher here on their 2 archer units, so they're going to be a lot less accuracy. I did that with my Sisters of the Thorn because they were in range. You can see I got a full surround off on Alberic de Bordelot. The poison, making sure he can't get away. Again, poison being very useful here. And I'm trying to chase after him, but he's managing to pull away from the Wild Riders. Now, you can see, I didn't realize he had these earlier on, but his Knights of the Realm are starting to try and come around the flank, and they are anti-large, as far as I'm aware. Yep. So he's going to probably be trying to get them into my Sisters of the Thorn. So again, I've got to do what I did last time, right? I got to poison them, right? Pull back, put the War Dancers in, and then follow up with the Wild Riders. I don't want my Wild Riders taking the initial charge to them, because the Wild Riders are going to take a lot of damage from their anti-large bonus here. You can see my archers, again, firing more shots in. I think I'm currently focusing the Royal Pegasus Knights. That's way too far of an arrow. You can see, pulling all of my cav out. I don't want to go too far while his Knights of the Realm are still there. Still running the Glade Lord away. Again, she's essentially just been kiting this whole match, staying away from these Royal Hippogriff Knights, making sure they can't do anything because they're busy trying to chase her. Now, they do have a lot of missile fire, kind of slaughtering my poor Glade Guard here. And I am pulling everyone out on the left flank, my Cav Force along with my War Dancers, as their Knights of the Realm start to get into position. So I target with the Sisters of the Thorn. I get their spears, you know, firing into the Knights of the Realm. And I want to start pulling my War Dancers around, and same with my Wild Riders, and getting ready to engage these Knights of the Realm, take them out of the battlefield. Still got a unit of Eternal Guard kind of just sitting around here, waiting just in case he decides he wants to charge some air cavalry into my forces. Royal Pegasus Knights are trying to land here, but I am pulling away with the Wild Riders. So looking back at the front line, Earthblood is keeping my troops very much alive. You can see my whole front line is essentially at full health, except for this flank here, taking almost no damage. Alberic is very close to dead. It's looking good. Very good for me right now, although this archer unit has taken a ton of damage. That cheap Bretonnian infantry is not going to do it in terms of damage dealing, but the thing is that his cav hasn't been able to do much this game. Royal Pegasus Knights got netted and shut down by the archers. Glade Lord has been kiting the Royal Hippogriff Knights, and Alberic tried to charge into the Sisters of the Thorn, ended up getting poisoned and then surrounded and took way too much damage. You can see here now he's got his Empire, or Knights of the Realm, not Empire Knights. Knights of the Realm, and now I'm going to be charging my War Dancers with Azurai Spears. I am currently poisoning the Spear unit. They're not going to be able to catch my War Dancers as quickly now, and not do as much damage. And now he's going to try and pull away with his Knights here. You can see Royal Hippogriff Knights get into range. So I am going to start hitting them with some Archer Fire. You can see, though, he kind of missed micros here as he's microing Elstar, microing his Lord. His Knights of the Realm didn't move far enough, and now they're going to get caught by the War Dancers with Azurai Spears. Now, you can see Sisters of the Thorn getting ready to come and poison these Knights of the Realm so they can't get away, and they'll be doing much less damage, and the Wild Riders are going to follow up on the assault. They are going to try and pull away here, but the poison is going to kick in once they fire. Now they are poisoned. Speed is reduced to 57. Wild Riders are going to have no problem catching them after this, and they're going to get torn apart and slaughtered. Now, big mistake here by me. My Glade Lord stopped moving as I was microing over there, and she ends up getting completely caught by Alberic and the Royal Pegasus Knights. You can see my Eternal Guard. Currently, the archers that were there are now dead from enemy archer fire. But now, you can see my Sisters of the Thorn did get a huge cavalry charge in here. I'm going to be, because we completely missed that, afterwards I'm going to be putting in a clip of them charging in. Because they completely, essentially they just saw an opening as the War Dancers with Azurai Spears and the Wild Riders were killing the Knights of the Realm. They saw an opening right into the enemy archers, and the Sisters of the Thorn took that opening. They're still pretty good in melee, especially against unarmored and really bad peasant bowmen. So they're going to be doing really well in that engagement. So if you see an opportunity like that, definitely charge them in there. You can see now the rest of my forces are charging forward here. Now the Royal Hippogriff Knights did land, so now I'm pulling in the War Dancers with Azurai Spears, pulling in the Wild Riders as my Sisters of the Thorn made their escape there. Now Sisters of the Thorn, again, seeing another opportunity to charge into the flank of these peasant bowmen. Going to be doing quite a bit of damage there. You can see as I'm microing there, I need to start microing my front line here and start getting them focused on new targets. You can see Alberic just derping around at the top there. Sisters of the Thorn ready to pound into the flank of these peasant bowmen. We can get a nice... See the nice little charge here. Well, not little charge. It's going to be a huge charge. Sisters of the Thorn absolutely decimating this unit of peasant bowmen, taking so much damage. Excellent flanking maneuver there. Wild Riders, not necessarily the engagement they want to be in. Well, actually, there's only a few of them fighting the spears. They are mostly gathered around the Royal Hippogriff Knights, and you can see victories in our grasp as most of their front line turns and flees from the battle. Sisters of the Thorn doing a great job tying down these peasant bowmen. Not as useful now in the late game, as you know, most of their cavalry threats have been extinguished. You can see they're trying to run off my Glade Lord with their Royal Pegasus Knights. But alas, too little, too late. The Royal Hippogriff Knights spent way too much time chasing my Glade Lord and therefore didn't do much in the actual battle. And a close victory. You can see my infantry essentially almost untouched that whole battle. Glade Lord got taken down to pretty low health. Almost died. She was almost redded off the map until the enemy force redded. But you can see there the utility of the Sisters of the Thorn, right? They would poison the enemy. They'd pull out. The Azure Spear War Dancers would push in now that the enemy their speed has dropped, so they can't get away as easily. War Dancers manage to catch the Empire Knights. Wild Riders pour in from the rear along with the War Dancers and absolutely decimate those cavalry units. You can see again, as Alberic tried to charge the Sisters of the Thorn, their missile damage was actually pretty decent considering he's a huge target and he was right next to them. They could all hit him and they actually took him down to like half health before the War Dancers and the Wild Riders with shields could get into him. But you could see the problems he was having, you know, pulling away with his knights and such because of the poison, because of that speed decrease. They just could not get away. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode of How To. Sisters of the Thorn, not a unit you really want to be spamming. They are very micro-heavy unit, not used very often. But if you can use them and use them well, they can do amazing things for you. So I would like to thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers, guys.